And what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Conscious Approach video series on the YouTube channel. My name is JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are here back in the building as always. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you happen to catch wind on what we like to do here on this channel, man, if you're watching any of these videos and you haven't already done so, man, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let us know what you think about the commentary in these videos, man. We truly enjoy what we do here in our little corner of the internet each and every week, bringing you this good social commentary on this Conscious Approach channel. So certainly appreciate it to everybody who has been subscribing, joining us along for the ride, and thank you in advance to everyone who subscribes to the channel moving forward. I always like to get that little thing out of the way when we, get these videos started. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get this week's topic started. The first thing that we are going to do is discuss a gentleman who is near and dear to our hearts, Mr. Tyrese Gibson. Tyrese has been going through a lot over the last several years. Way back in 2017, when we first started making these videos, Tyrese was he was garnering concern over videos that he was putting out on Instagram, talking about his career in the industry and dysfunctional, toxic relationships that went south, previous relationships, and how the co-parenting setup between him and his previous relationship wasn't going according to plan, and how much distress it was causing him. But it looked like he rebounded from that. You know, he was doing good. He's got the Fast and Furious movies going on. But, now Tyrese is back experiencing more personal trials and tribulations. So he was married. In 2017, he got married to a woman named Samantha Lee Gibson. They subsequently got divorced. They have a child together. And now Tyrese is, via the ongoing situation in court, coming to the realization in his eyes that his marriage to this woman was never actually about love. It was just about status and a transaction. He feels so strongly about this that he is making videos publicly speaking on this. And so since he's making videos publicly speaking on this, we will speak on it on this channel.
That's right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and share this. We'll first see the video that Tyrese put out first, and then we'll provide some context, and then of course we'll get into what Tyrese had to say after we get a little background and actually see what it is that he put out.
I left the courtroom during my divorce trial, and I realized that it was never love. It was just a transaction. Wow. So we did a whole marriage and did the whole duration of a child and starting a family just to find out that it was all about money, status, transaction. Imagine me being the only actor in a relationship to then realize that I was in a relationship for 5 years with one of the best actors I've ever met in my life.
Wow. You spend so much time creating invoices and they
Unbelievable.
So there you go. Now, for anyone who is not aware of their relationship, Tyrese and this woman, Samantha Lee Gibson, were married in February 2017. They have a child together. They announced that they were getting divorced in December 2020. She is a social worker and bartender. She's based in Georgia. And during the whole ordeal, and this is according to the Shade Room, Tyrese appeared at Fulton County Superior Court in Atlanta on Tuesday morning. The court appearance continued an ongoing child support battle with his ex-wife, which mainly began because the singer refused to pay the court order $10,000 per month As reported by TMZ. In the courtroom, the singer was reportedly held in contempt for his refusal to pay the ordered amount. Additionally, he was ordered to pay his ex-wife $237,944 in back child support and $399,000 for his ex-wife's attorney fees. Furthermore, the singer is reportedly responsible for a $17,000 bill for the court's special master who works to resolve ongoing disputes during cases. According to the outlet, Tyrese is expected to pay a portion of the overall $636,000 amount by May 15th. Obviously, that already passed. Furthermore, the judge also maintained that the singer has indeed been paying child support over the years. However, he has only been paying a reported $2,236 monthly instead of the court-ordered $10,000 monthly. Wow. Tyrese has got a pretty hefty bill that he is responsible for paying. A little more information on this woman, Samantha Lee Gibson. She's not exactly in the poorhouse. She makes over 6 figures a year between her bartending career and her career in social work. So she's a 6-figure person in her own right, but nevertheless, Tyrese is on the hook for $636,000 plus ongoing child support in the amount of $10,000 per month. And so, he's going through all of that, and he is now of the belief that their marriage was a transaction and that it was never about a genuine connection, as per the video that he put out publicly. So pretty unfortunate, man. But what do you think about this situation with Tyrese?
This is disgusting, bro. That's what I think. This is gross. The amount of money. Now I don't know what his net worth is, but nobody still wants to come off that kind of money. Clearly, he didn't want to pay it, and that's just unfortunate. But this whole situation bodes true to things that I've said in the past about how marriage is viewed nowadays by opportunistic women. And these opportunists seize the situation in regards to guys that has money. So they look at it as a career move. So, you, a hardworking man, looking to earn yourself a nice salary, have a nice lifestyle off that salary. So you go apply for jobs and, you try to get the highest paying job. Then, after you done kicked it around a little bit, you really don't see, you could probably see there's better opportunities at another job. So then you just sever that. There's a baked in pension once you leave. You don't even have to, you only have to stay there for 6 months to a year. And then after that, you're skating. So they look at this as a business opportunity, like a job, like a career move. And, once they're done with it, once they're bored, once they put in their work, they're ready to leave. And so just like how Tyrese was saying, like, damn, I'm a professional actor. I do this as my job. But this woman did a job on me, basically, because her job is to make it seem like this love is believable. And that's what most of them do when they pull the rug. So I'm glad he's unmuting about this situation. He's speaking about this out loud. I'm glad that, people can weigh on this as we're doing. So, people can actually look at what's going on in their own personal lives. Is this a career move for the person that you're dealing with? Or is this something that's actually genuine? In Tyrese's case, it was not. So what about you, bro? How do you feel about this situation, man? You think that Tyrese is being a cheapskate here? Or do you think that Do you think this is overblown by our inflated justice system?
$4 million, according to CelebrityNetWorth.com. Tyrese's net worth, $4 million.
It can't be.
So now, I don't know how credible that source is. It did rank highly on Google. Google tends to not rank things that are not credible high when you search it. So I'm prone to believe that that is accurate information. So you can take that for what it's worth. There might be more credible sources out there that might have a different number.
You probably just ain't got it.
Yeah. So the thing with this situation is Tyrese, to me, has not publicly exhibited characteristics that are akin to somebody like Tiger Woods. When we look at Tiger Woods and what he's been through with women, we kind of sit back and we say, okay, this guy was a child star. He didn't really have a normal life, right? This is what we've talked about in some of the previous videos that we did with Tiger. So he never really developed adequate social skills, never really grew up in a normal type of environment as a child and a young person. Whereas a man, you kind of, not even just as a man, but as a human being, you learn how to detect certain red flags in some of the people that you're interested in. And therefore, you can protect yourself from being extracted for resources because there's a radar detection system in you that enables you to pick up on certain things that you can look at and say, he or she does this, or he or she is about this, or he or she has said this. Probably not a good idea for me to get in bed with this person via a marriage or even having a child with them. To my knowledge, Tyrese doesn't have any of those deficiencies the way Tiger Woods has those deficiencies. So this really, to me, is kind of baffling. And it makes me really become even more just sort of apathetic towards the idea that as a man, you can reach the point where you're generationally wealthy and still view marriage as something that is worth going for. It's sad. And I'll take no pleasure in saying that because I'm looking at this situation and I'm looking at her and I'm saying, okay, she wasn't an Instagram model. She wasn't a cocktail waitress. She wasn't she's a bartender.
I was about to say, man, she was a bartender, bro.
She was a bartender, right? She doesn't do OnlyFans. She's not a social media influencer. She's not posing pics of her body on Instagram every day for a career or for a check, right? She's not doing anything like that. She's not doing, did I mention OnlyFans? She's not doing OnlyFans. She's just she's a social worker and a mixologist is what they like to say. and despite, right. And to be reasonable, I'm not in their household, so I don't know all of the circumstances that contributed to the breakdown of the relationship. So I'm not trying to necessarily sit up here and blame the whole thing on her because I don't know. But I'm still looking at it. I'm saying she's a social worker. She's educated. And she's a mixologist. She's not necessarily a thought, at least not publicly. And yet this still happened to this guy. And they have the one child and now he's on the hook for all of this money. And I'm saying, man, like at a certain point, it really must just not make sense if you become a person who has achieved at that level to do this thing. Maybe cohabitation is where you need to stop. Stop short of marriage and just don't go past the cohabitation level. Live with somebody, maybe have a kid with them, try to start a family that way. But the legal contract of marriage, maybe that's where the buck stops. Because this guy has to now pay $10,000 a month in child support. And I don't understand how $10,000 a month in child support makes sense for a woman who herself is an entrepreneur and makes $100,000 or more a year. That math to me isn't adding up. But be that as it may, I kind of think that it's an unfortunate situation. And I don't have an answer to it. It's just seeming more and more nonsensical to be a guy in that position and go the marriage route. As non-traditional and indifferent as that may sound, that really is what it's seeming like more and more, unfortunately. And to people like Tyrese or these other guys out here, man, you high value dudes. And mind you, I use the term high value to describe a man who makes a lot of money, not necessarily high value in character or judgment or decision making or maturity. Just high value in terms of income.
High earners.
Yes, there you go. Okay, so let me just say that instead. High earners. Like, I don't know what y'all got. I don't know what y'all need to do. And I myself aspire to be someone who's a high earner.
Damn right.
And and so it's like, maybe stick to just trying to meet women in small towns. Don't go in metro areas where it's more likely than not, from a statistical standpoint, that you're going to run into people who have this extremely liberal, left-wing, hyper-liberal mentality when it comes to dating and relationships. Maybe you're more prone to find people who are more traditional minded in small towns. Not to say that you're going to completely escaping it by going that route, but maybe you give yourself a better statistical probability to not run into that muck if you just stick to middle America, small towns, outskirts, small communities. Again, that's practical advice, and I don't even know if it applies. I'm literally playing darts at this point, and I'm shooting darts at a dartboard blindfolded because I don't know. But the divorce rates, the declining marriage rates, all of these statistics, and you can look them up for yourself. They're becoming more and more alarming by the year. I still hold out hope, and I am still optimistic. I just think at a certain point, it just takes a certain level of maturity, and you really have to approach this type of thing with some tact. And that is what is becoming in more and more short supply, is good decision making and tact on all sides, for men and women, because guys choose the wrong partners all the time and then cry, woe is me. And then women do the same thing. They have a very, very pointed, specific way that they go about choosing men, and the outcome is always what it is, and then they complain about quality of men. Really, it's the quality of your decision making that is the result, that is resulting in your continued undesired relationship status and situations. But yeah, I'm just shooting shit. I'm throwing shit at a wall, and I'm hoping it sticks. I'm at the point now where maybe you stay away from the metro areas, stay away from metropolitan areas, large cities, stick to small towns, small communities, middle America, the heartland, as they like to say. I don't know what the result is, but I find this very unfortunate because, like I said, Tyrese doesn't have child star syndrome like Tiger Woods. And this woman doesn't necessarily exhibit all of the characteristics that I would have, said, well, does she do this or this? Those represent red flags. She's not doing porn. She's not doing OnlyFans. She's not an Instagram model. She doesn't do any of those things. So, I don't know. She's not a hip hop chick. She's not none of that. She ain't a stripper. She's not none of that stuff. She's just this, and this still happened. So, for people who are on the fences thinking that marriage is a dying institution, I reside on the side of someone who still says it's not dying. This certainly does not provide enough confidence or evidence for someone to not think that. So it sucks, man. I just hope that Tyrese is able to figure out a way to finagle his way out of having to pay all this. Because just based on the knowledge, just based on the information that I have before me, doing the numbers, crunching things up, seeing what she makes, seeing what he has, to me, that amount doesn't make sense. Even if you want to suggest that he is due for some back pay, fine. But $10,000 a month into perpetuity until this kid is 18 for someone who is making six figures a year, to me, doesn't make sense. So I hope that he is able to figure out a way to not have to deal with that. But it just sucks. It does. And you know, it's sad to see the disillusionment of any marriage, of course, but to see it, dissolve into this kind of situation where this guy is making Instagram live clips and saying that he felt bamboozled. He thought that his relationship was genuine and it turned out to be a transaction. And, we already speak on how marriage and relationships today, largely depending on who you are and your environment and your cultural context, has become transactional, which in and of itself is unfortunate. And it certainly doesn't apply to everybody, but a good portion of modern society, unfortunately. You mix all of this up into a pot and this is what you get. So I just hope he comes out of it relatively well. He's not going to come out of it unscathed, but I hope he comes out of it as unscathed as he possibly can, given what he's fighting against.
Well, to speak on the unscathed, she got him for his pockets, and she got him for the emotional robbery that she did for him as well. So moving forward, hopefully Mr. Gibson will understand that somebody like this, invading his life and stealing his emotional stuff, like he has to be able to put all that aside and move forward to hell, because money's not really important anyway. So this vagabond came and tried to just steal. So those people already have it coming to him. So he can rest easy knowing that this vagabond came and carpetbagger came and stole his stuff.
She ran a blitzkrieg on him.
Yeah, man. So
she ran a blitzkrieg on him, man. She just ran the plane right into him. No regard.
So those people can have that. They those people got to sleep with themselves at night. So man, the money is just a material thing. It don't really mean nothing. It sucks that somebody would actually do that to him, but at the same time, bruh, you can move on. And when it comes to what was the other thing you said? Cohabitation. Bro, they'll get you for cohabitation too. You can't even live with a chick for X amount of period of time because they're going to claim lifestyle differences.
Yeah.
So you can't even do the cohabitation thing if you're trying to do that thing like that though. So nah, man, the game is rigged, is what it is. And if a man can't that's why I was using the job analogy, because we can understand, everybody can understand that. Now, women like this will claim that they're not doing it intentionally. I call BS on that. But let's say that they're not doing it intentionally. They still look at it as a come up and a lifestyle change and a difference. So yes, she's making 6 figures, but she's got to work awful hard to get that. So why not get some man that financially dominates her and has a bag that where if she has a child by him and if she gets divorced, she can get some pretty good checks out of this. So why not sign up for that? This is a career move. So just like at work where, they ask you on the application, hey, do you take any stationery home? If a fight happened at work, what would you do? If you saw a coworker doing this, what would you do? I'll snitch my ass off. That's what I'll do. Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, if he's taking home stationery, no way. That's what I'm saying. So these women look at men like they're bosses that they can have sex with and then take his money later. So the same type of thing of where, hey man, I'm about to take this 15 and that 15 turn into a 20 or 30, because whatever, they do the same thing with you when they don't pick up their phone or do something weird or sketchy. And they just do whatever. So they don't really, the whole thing is that because times have changed. And I alluded to this, I don't know, maybe last time, I don't know. But we have to look at marriage different because of what these type of women are looking for. They're looking for security, period. And so whatever they can do, if this woman can do this again, get married, ride that for a little bit and get divorced and get a pension from that guy, she would do it. Or have a child from that person, which is a pension, and get child support from that person. People do this. And this is seen as checks, guaranteed checks, like royalty, like you dropped the album and it's coming in the mail every month. Why not sign up for that? That's how they look at this. So of course they're going to tell you everything you want to hear. Of course she's going to have, relations with you every way you want to have it. Oh, you want to bring a girl in? I'm okay with that. So long as you, drop seed in me. Pause. So the whole thing is that's what their whole thing is. Their whole thing is looking at it as a job opportunity. So yeah, she's making 6 figures, but now she's got a damn good check out of this. So it's all finesse, bro. So when you're dealing with a woman who's just looking for security, then you're seen as a come up. And so how do you decide and decipher whether or not the person you dealing with is after a check? And bruh, you ain't even gotta make a bag. There's everyday guys getting divorced. There's everyday guys going through these craps in court and getting taxed by the state. And by the way, the state collects money off that child support as well. So why reduce the rate? They getting a nice little percentage out of that themselves. So no, Tyrese Gibson, pay that 10 racks. We saw all the Fast movies. He was even in space in one of those, I heard. So, nah, man, you got checks and they coming in. We need a piece of it. So, hey, man, I'm not doom and gloom when it comes to marriage, although it may sound like it. But at the same time, hey, man, we got to read the tea leaves and see where the direction of people's mentalities are going. And if you're dealing with somebody who can't think for themselves and they think like how the machines told them to think, then yeah, you're most likely going to get got voluntarily or involuntarily, because 6, 7 years down the line, 8, 9, 10 years down the line, just like anybody that signed up for a job and told their boss or their employer that, hey, I plan on staying here so long as y'all keep paying me this good. But over time, they start complaining about how they're not getting treated right at work, how they're not getting paid enough for this or not getting enough for that. Not all the while, excluding all the benefits that they get from the job, dental, this, that, vacation hours, this and that, roll over this. But nope, I'm not getting treated right at work. Nope, I'm not getting recognized at work. And then they'll just jump ship just so they can get recognized at another location where they're getting probably paid less, where they get less benefits. Hey, man, this is the way of the world. So if they want to go out there and try to figure out what's going on, ride the carousel and do this and that, have at it. They're just signing up for a life of misery, man. So that's why I told Mr. Gibson at the beginning of my thing is that, hey, these people get what they paid for in the long run. So that mentality gets people nowhere. And if she keeps riding that train, which most likely she will, it does derail at some point. So let her have it, brother. So
yeah, the only thing, this to me is unfortunately par for the course. But what's starting to freak me out is like the evolution of the flex, because it's like, it's like watching what there's a show that I watched. I forget what the show was. It's a zombie show. It wasn't Walking Dead though. It was either a show or a movie. And the people, obviously they're in the zompocalypse, so they're fighting off the zombies, and they started to like discover that zombies were evolving. Like they weren't just lumbering anymore. Like they could do things like run and jump. So it's a whole new ball game now, because at first you could just shoot zombies because they were just and they were moving like right. 2 miles. They were moving at a snail's pace. Then all of a sudden you got zombies who can run and jump and shoot guns. Now we got a serious problem. You have to defend? You have to develop a whole new strategy to defend against that. And what I'm seeing with this relationship extraction dynamic, this epidemic that's going on, is the evolution of the flex. I used to be confident in being able to say, hey, man, this is kind of on you. You knew she was a stripper. You knew she did porn. You knew she did OnlyFans. You knew that she was an Instagram model. You knew she wrote a book talking about all of the men that in the entertainment and the professional sports industries that she had sex with. You already had this knowledge. She told you who she was and you chose not to believe her. So, bro, this is egg on your face. Understand that there are billions of women in the world. You don't have to be with the ones who exhibit the red flags. Go with the ones who don't exhibit the red flags and give yourself a better chance to obtain what it is that you claim to seek, which is an actual viable partner with good qualities. I used to be able to rest on those laurels. And it seems as though I'm no longer able to rest on those laurels because you have women like this, allegedly, as well as, Ebony K. Williams, who has a law, she's a PhD law person, and she's basically no different than the women who exhibit the red flags outright. Yeah. And so the camouflage on the flex is really becoming supplanted. And so at this point, you really have to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate how you read the tea leaves. As of now, I don't have a plan on that. I need to think about that because there's always a weakness in any strategy. You just have to discover what the new weakness is because the old weakness no longer applies. They've evolved. The moment that you have well-to-do women from two-parent households getting masters and MBAs and PhDs, and they're walking around well-spoken with professional attire on, and they're not stripping anymore, they're not doing porn anymore, and they're not doing all of the things that you could always look at and say, I'll use that for a good time, but otherwise stay away and not take it seriously. That is still present, but you're losing the ability with each passing year, from what I can tell, to be able to employ that kind of a strategy because the flex is evolving to the point now they are exhibiting all of the characteristics that you used to be able to look towards to say that's something that is wholesome and of substance. And apparently not so much. Now, how prevalent that is and how widespread it is, I'm not exactly sure. This is completely anecdotal. I don't have any statistical data to suggest how prevalent that is. But I feel confident enough to say that the flex is becoming more sophisticated with each passing year, I would say, to the point where you're no longer going to be able to use some of those basic tenets of red flags to guard yourself, because now they've infiltrated law offices, medical facilities, they've infiltrated accounting firms, they've infiltrated the tech space, they've infiltrated it. And I'm speaking on this like it's some sci-fi movie, like it's Agent Smith in the Matrix, when Agent Smith figured out a way to actually infiltrate the real world and get out of the Matrix. Yeah. It's kind of like that. Yeah. Where it's like, bro, you're gonna have to try and be Neo and see the code.
There you go. Exactly. Very good. Yeah.
You're gonna have to be able to see the code because it's no longer, you're not in the Matrix anymore. They figured out a way to get into the system so that they can be in those places. And it's interesting to see for sure. Again, I don't want to cast any aspersions on her personally. I don't know her, but I do know what I've read from credible sources, and I do know what these numbers are. And to me, these things aren't adding up, and it's unfortunate, and it is seeming like it's rigged, and I don't like it. So I hope that he comes out of this unscathed. But I really do have a modicum of sympathy for him, because I think he was looking at her and saying, oh man, she knows how to make a good drink, but otherwise she's a social worker. She's a well-educated, anonymous social worker from New Jersey. How much of a thought can she be? And this is where it got him. So it sucks, but yeah, it just requires a second look at the strategy for detecting red flags is how I see it.
But just imagine, bro, if you knew that after every job that you got, that once you either got fired or decide to quit, you're just going to get unemployment You're just going to get checks cut to you to keep you paying your rent, to keep up your lifestyle from the job that you just had. And, they come in. So what's the incentive? What's the incentive to really stay once it gets hot?
Being a good, loyal person.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But most people aren't.
And that's what I find very sad.
And and to tap into your Matrix analogy, which was spot on. But that also speaks to, so who are you talking to? Now, if anybody out there watched The Matrix, much like myself, I watched it I don't know how many times, especially the first one. All right. Which are you talking to somebody that's unplugged? Or are you talking to that woman in a red dress? And if you're talking to that woman in a red dress, you're talking to Agent Smith. You are talking to the Matrix. And the Matrix is going to run you through the ringer. You know what else is attached to the Matrix? This money. An emotional attachment to that money. Feeling like you can't come off that money. That's why the church, not that I'm a religious man, not to make this religious, but that's why the church tell you to pay your tithes. It's a way to come off something that you're very arrogant and egotistical about. You have to give up some of that in order to live appropriately. So with all of this stuff that's attached to this Matrix system, all right, part of your ego and pride goes with it. That's all a part of this construct. So what's the main takeaway here? That he helped bring in a new person to this Matrix, but he helped bring in a new person. He's had a lot of enriching and important things with his child or daughter or son or whatever. So there's a lot of good that does come out of this madness, even though this is unfortunate. But like I said, man, these are the signs of the time. So are you dealing with the woman in the red dress, or are you dealing with somebody that is unplugged? And if she's not unplugged, she'll speak binary, 10110. And like you said, man, you got to understand the code. And you can say, hey, man, how do you feel about blah, blah, blah? Just anything. And then 10001 110. And it's like, oh, man, this person's on autopilot. This person's speaking like every liberal outlet or whatever they done heard. So, by the way, man, the little bit of TV that I do get a chance to watch, that stuff is indoctrination madness. I mean, it is sickening. I can't even listen to 5 minutes of that stuff without rebuttaling or getting irritated. And it's watched unabated. So you got to make sure you know who you're dealing with. Mr. Gibson didn't know who he was dealing with. So that's why he got by the Matrix. So yeah, man, there's no incentive to stay. Recalibrate. You got to know who you're dealing with, and know your personnel. And you can't sign everybody to your team. So
yeah, that is true. It just looks like the flex is evolving. So until good-natured, wholesome, traditional-minded people figure out the new hack, I don't know. Be very careful. Be very, very careful. So, like I said, I hope that he comes out of this as unscathed as he can. He's still going to have a pound of flesh. Well, he's been paying. So, it's just that there's a greater extraction attempt that is being afforded his way. So I hope that works out in his favor as much as it possibly can. But otherwise, I think it's an unfortunate situation. And it just kind of makes the advent of good relationships on a good foundation seem more and more like a unicorn, which is unfortunate. It sucks. It does. And this trickles down to the general population. It's not just about celebrities and rich people.
Nope.
It just kind of feels like it's more and more of a mainstay. So we will just have to go back to the drawing board and recalibrate our radar detection system. And that goes for men and women. That's everybody. Because as things evolve, you have to evolve your strategy. So good luck to Tyrese, man. This sucks. I don't really know how much I can hold him to account for because it just kind of seemed like he had good intentions. I don't know what he contributed to the dissolving of the marriage. Again, I don't know any of that kind of stuff, but I just know $10K a month, $636,000 seems a bit unreasonable, given all of the information that I have about this thing. So I'm feeling for you, man. I hope Tyrese pulls through.
Yeah, and like you said, bro, I don't know this woman, but to hell with her. So go ahead, Tyrese, man. It's all good, bro.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but I did mean to say that.
Yeah. All right, so next up we're gonna talk about some comments that OG rap veteran Tony Yayo made in reference to his relationship with Eminem. So Tony Yayo recently made an appearance on Vlad TV on YouTube. We are not going to play that clip.
No, we're not.
Because Vlad TV is notorious for protecting its IP. They will flag the shit out of your video
for no reason.
If you play one scintilla of a DJ Vlad interview, you will get flagged.
Fair use.
So as a result, yes. So as a result, we will not play the clip. However, this, as well as everything that we do on this channel, the link in the description will be. The link to this article will be in the description of this video. You can click on that and watch the video for yourself. But Tony Yayo has some interesting comments about backlash that him and the rest of his G Unit crew received back in the day when they were collaborating with Eminem at the height of that whole thing. Mm-hmm. So this article is from Hot New Hip Hop. It says Eminem collabs cause racial backlash for G Unit, Tony Yayo claims. During his most recent interview with DJ Vlad, Tony Yayo recalled an unfortunate public reaction to G Unit's work with Eminem. Moreover, the rapper explained that a lot of people weren't happy with the group's embrace of a white MC. Of course, those conversations are still present in today's hip-hop debates, even among legends of the genre. Still, during his remarks, Yayo defended the Detroit legend's lyrical skill, his influence, and all that he did for the group during their peak. In addition, he spoke briefly on his relationship with Benzino and now hip-hop media outlets and how hip-hop media outlets contributed to that backlash. Quote, we even got called house N-words for effing with Eminem, Tony Yayo recalled. The source, they would take it to a whole nother level. That's when the disrespect for me was like, well, damn, what does color have to do with anything with music? What does color have to do with anything with people? I don't care what color or religion you are. That's just me. We from New York. It's a melting pot of people. We grew up around all kinds of people. So I don't give a F what color you are. I don't look at you as a culture vulture because you white. That could be someone else's opinion. It's not mine. Melly Mel says something about Eminem. He did more for me, him, and 50 than anybody has ever done in my career. To this day, it's all said and done. I'm a shout out. To the day it's all said and done, I'm a shout out Eminem. Tony Yayo continued, but everybody always blows shots at Eminem. He wouldn't be on Billboard's top 50 greatest rappers of all time list if he wasn't an effing lyrical tyrant. If he wasn't effing nice with it, they wouldn't be mad at him. End quote. So of course there's more to that you can read about. Again, the link to this article is in the description of this video, so you can actually watch the video as well instead of just read the text. I'm tired of getting flagged on this channel for doing content that's great. So I won't play the clip there, but that's where you have it. So yeah, so Yayo, kind of saying, back in the day when G Unit and Eminem, all of that was at its peak. Guess you could say that was like early 2000s into the mid 2000s before it started to die off. A lot of backlash that was racially charged because Eminem was a white rapper. And so those guys were getting called out. They were getting called sellouts and all kind of stuff because they were collaborating with Eminem. Yayo didn't appreciate all of that too much. So what did you think about what Yayo had to say?
I mean, he's staying loyal to his homeboy. That's his homeboy. So of course he's going to have nothing but shining and great things to say about him. And the whole take, because they also brought up the whole Melly Mel thing that they brought up about the Billboard, about him being ranked like 3rd or something. And Melly Mel had a problem with that, basically saying that, hey, if he wasn't a white rapper, basically, if there was a black rapper saying, "I'm Slim Shady, yeah, I'm the Slim Shady," please stand up. Is that hitting top number one? Is that going to get rotational spins? No. So that was his whole argument, was that because he's white, everybody's seen it before. It can be people, it can be black people dancing, you know, Apollo singing, dancing. That white person that come up there that can either sing or dance stole the show. You know, all the Negroes in the audience. Whoa, hey, you come to the barbecue. Woo, woo, woo. Woo, woo, woo. And so that's what happens when we see somebody white doing what is traditionally black. So there's an extra appeal that comes to whatever Eminem's doing. So is he talented lyrically? That's debatable. I say lyrically, I use lyrics for content. When there's lyrics, there's phases to lyrics. And so for lyrics, I think it's content based. So it also goes with flow and cadence and stuff like that. But flow and cadence is more of a technical thing. So Eminem is a good technical rapper. He can rap fast. He can string together syllables. He does things very well technically. You know, the good free throw shooter, the good 3-point shooter. That's what he is in rap. But is he nice with it one-on-one? You know, I mean, battle raps. I'm not saying that, but you know what I'm saying. Can he off the dribble, but whoop-de-whoop, make a song? Or can he just mom spaghetti? So I think he's a good technical rapper. Lyricism, I call that under question. Can he string together words? That's part of the technical part. What's the substance in what he's talking about? And so I wasn't, you know, and this is in the height of his stuff. So we're not talking about later on where he starts to reflect on his drug use and all this other stuff, which no one listens to, by the way. I'm talking about the hits. Those were, you know, talking about stuff with his mom and his baby mama and all this other wild stuff. So none of those things had substance to me. So I wasn't rocking with that lyrically. So I had to explain that for anybody that's going to come around here. So lyrically speaking, I think that, you know, he was lacking in that department. So, but since he is who he is, and he's a white guy, he is talented. So that just gives you extra boost. That's all. And so that's all Melly Mel was saying. I agree with it. I don't think Melly Mel was hating, you know. And to tie into what he was saying about Benzino, you know, calling him a house Negro and all these other things here. Yeah, of course. I mean, that was probably hating for sure. Because it's not like he has any integrity or anything that, you know, I can't call that, but whatever, man. Industry dudes are industry dudes. So you want to sit there and call him or whatever, Uncle Tom or whatever. But if Eminem was on your team and on your label, you ain't screaming that then. I'm an Uncle Tom. You're going to say you found a cash cow. So that's the part of it that comes off haterish from the Benzino aspect. But all in all, Yayo is a very loyal person. He is super loyal to 50. He's super loyal to Eminem. And he's loyal to the whole G Unit. He's a real chill dude. I'm not surprised that he took up for Eminem in this context, but I do humbly disagree. And I'll go toe to toe with anybody that wants to debate him even being in the top 10. All right. But what do you feel, sir? How do you feel about this whole Yayo commentary? Do you agree with him here, or do you think that maybe Benzino had a point?
Yeah, I think so. I have a different view of Eminem than you do. Mm-hmm. I do think, because I agree with your take. Okay, so I don't want to go off topic. So let me first address the whole backlash. Mm-hmm. That'll be what I talk about first. The fact that he claimed that people were coming at them, calling them sellouts and Uncle Toms because they were collaborating with Eminem. So I don't like that. I don't agree with that, because obviously people who came at G Unit for collaborating with Eminem on those grounds, calling them sellouts and all of that kind of stuff, those are people who probably believe that hip hop is Black culture and is owned by Black people and it's controlled by Black people and it belongs to Black people. And so, because if it belongs to us. So if you're collaborating with someone who's not a part of the community, then it's kind of viewed upon like you're selling out because that belongs to us. So collaborate with the Black artist. That's our art. It belongs to us. The reason why I don't agree with that is because I find it, in my opinion, I don't think that you can. I don't think, and this is my opinion, I don't think that you can claim ownership over something that you don't actually own. So people need to understand that this music, people like a lot of people walking around really do think that this music is Black culture. It's a form of expression that was given to Black people out of necessity because actual culture was stripped from them. And I'm not going to go down the road of history and all of that kind of stuff. I'm just sticking to like modern day sense. In terms of artistic freedom and expression, pretty much all the way up to the late 70s, outside of jazz music and maybe a little bit of rock and roll, Black people didn't really have any of that. So this hip hop thing came up. And now it may have emerged, courtesy of Black people who were rapping about the struggle and all of that kind of stuff. But the moment that it became an industry, that it became a business, that it became a means by which people can actually earn a living, Black people didn't own any of that. It was owned by people who weren't Black. The means to distribute the music, the means to control the flow of it, to put out what you want to put out, that was not owned by Black people. Black people didn't control any of that. There were very few exceptions, but for the most part, it was owned by white people, is who it was owned by. So this rules that Black people, that this belongs to us. And so therefore, we're going to call out other Black people for collaborating with non-Black people on the grounds of being a sellout. To me, it's a fallacy because historically, for the most part, Black people never really have owned this thing. It's been owned by other people. So I kind of feel as though the foundation upon which that kind of criticism is levied is false pretenses. That's my personal opinion. That's kind of how I look at that. So I don't really like the way people come at. I don't like that kind of criticism, whether it's Tony Yayo, G Unit, or anybody. I don't really like that kind of criticism because who owns this thing? It isn't Black people for the most part. We don't own this thing. So who are we to really try to say that it belongs to us? I can't claim that I can't claim that this house that I'm renting truly belongs to me. I'm not paying a mortgage. I'm paying a rent. I'm licensing the ability to lay my head here every night. But if the landlord wanted to come and kick my ass out, he could do that. He or she could do that. I don't own this thing. So, when people come at, others with this hip hop stuff, trying to claim ownership on behalf of like Black people or the Black community, I kind of say, I get where you're coming from, but historically speaking, we don't really own it like that. So kind of hard pressed for you to criticize somebody for that kind of collaborative effort. But that's just kind of how I see that one. That's my opinion. Now, in reference to the Eminem thing and him being white and how that factored into the criticism, that I can agree with. And it's the same. Bill Clinton has a similar effect. Bill Clinton showed up playing the saxophone and kissing Black babies. All of a sudden, Black people love Bill Clinton. Meanwhile, he really didn't really do much for Black people per se. I don't think, at least. Now, I mean, yeah. Now he may have been a part of a presidency that saw tremendous economic growth for the country. But if you want to look at him as a president who helped Black people, I'm still looking for the receipts on that. I don't know where that is, but he's often viewed as like, Black people love Clinton because he showed up on Arsenio Hall playing saxophone. And it's like, why do y'all love this dude? What did he do to bamboozle y'all into thinking that he loves y'all so much? And we see other dynamics like that too, when, non-Black people sort of come into Black spaces. Like, it's in sports too, like Christian McCaffrey. They love Christian McCaffrey. He's a running back. Traditionally, most of the greatest running backs are black. So we got this white guy who's a running back, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, damn, Christian McCaffrey out there running numbers on these fools. Now, I'm not trying to take nothing away from the guy. He is great. He's good. He's really great. He's talented. But the fervor for him has a lot to do with the fact that he is doing something in a space that is often occupied by black people, and he's doing it effectively. So that's where the fervor comes from. So in that regard, I do understand how that kind of stuff happened for Eminem and how people like Melly Mel would say that, because for the most part, he's not wrong. His ethnic background, or lack thereof rather, does have a lot to do. And so it's his background tied to the fact that he is nevertheless doing something effectively. Because if he was a bum, if he was Vanilla Ice, no one cares or criticizes Vanilla Ice for culture vulturing because he wasn't really good at it. So it's like nobody really cares. No one's going to criticize Vanilla Ice because, like, what did you do? You don't have a historical place in this thing. But Eminem has a historical place in this thing. Like you said, he was a good technical rapper. And so because there is a debate going on, given the fact that he does reside in a place in this thing, given how effective he was, it calls into question the legitimacy of it. So I get that part too. I just kind of look at it and I say, you brought up the point about content. And I would say that his first 3 albums, he did deliver, in my opinion, on that content threshold for me. And he was technically rapping at a very high level. Now, after that, he really started to fall off. He didn't sustain it for a long enough period, in my opinion, for him to be viewed as somebody who truly is as good as others might think he is. Like, in my opinion, after the Eminem show, it was a fall off after that. And that was way back in 2002. So for me, I look at his first 3 albums, Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, Eminem show, and I say for those 3 albums, if you want to say in a vacuum, he's here, I might be willing to entertain that. But if you want to say in the whole grand scheme of this thing and his entire career, I'm not buying that. He fell off immediately after the Eminem show. So the fervor for him comes from the fact that he is doing, or at one point he did something at a high level in a space that's mostly occupied by black people. But at the same time, I get Tony Yayo defending him because it did wonders for Yayo's career. And I'm not going to besmirch somebody who's sticking up for their buddy. Like, it's not like Eminem was showing up saying, hey, help increase my profile because I'm a white rapper. Eminem was just trying to do something that he likes to do. So it is what it is. And that whole G-Unit Shady Aftermath thing, it was popping for a good little period of time. And so from Yayo's standpoint, he's looking at it and he's saying, hey, man, we were just trying to make music. The guy's a dope rapper. And so don't come at us with this Uncle Tom stuff or this sellout stuff, because he did more for me than any of y'all who are criticizing me for that collaboration. I just think at the end of the day, you can't really be like, oh, this is ours and this is mine or this belongs to us. So don't be collaborating outside of this thing when you don't really own it. Like, to me, you have to own the house. That's how I look at it. And this is a mentality that's starting to become more and more, this is a generational thing. I don't think you're looking at most Gen Zers or younger. Like, this is people for us and people older than us. Young people don't care because you got all of these young white rappers coming into this thing now. No one cares. Everyone pretty much acknowledges that hip hop is everybody's music. It is not black people's music. It's not. It's for everybody. And I'm not saying that because I agree with the sentiment per se. I'm just saying that the culture and the industry around the music, this thing is a major genre. It's no longer a subgenre. So it's for everybody. So younger generations aren't necessarily clinging to this idea that it's black art. At least that's not what I'm seeing. So for generations like ours and the ones previous, the older ones, who we still might look at it and say, oh, it's black art and it's black music. Like, you got to own the house first. That's what I say. Ownership and agency are more prevalent now than they used to be. All of these SoundCloud rappers and these various outlets through which a lot of these artists are trying to be able to retain as much ownership over what they create as possible. You know, it's not like how it used to be where you had to go through a major label, which was run by people who didn't look like you, which is what goes back to the central point that I'm making about the backlash. Now you can do the SoundCloud thing. You can kind of be an independent artist and thrive much more so now than you ever could before. So this is becoming something that's sort of, you know, retreating into the recesses of history, as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, just sticking to this generation, this generation, this Eminem thing, the 90s and the 2000s generation, a lot of millennials who still look at this as black art. Like, y'all got to understand that we never really own this thing. We just are the purveyors of it. We might create it, but we don't necessarily own it. We definitely don't control the distribution of it. And so because of that, in my opinion, you can't really tell somebody what they can and cannot do or who they can and cannot work with, because you don't really own it in the first place. So, you know, that's kind of how I look at that one. So I feel Yayo. I'm not hating on him for the defense. I do think the Eminem stuff is overblown, but I get the origin for where it comes from.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and for the people that are screaming culture vulture stuff or whatever, when it comes to, you know, white people or anybody doing anything that black people do, the only people that get offended by that and yell those things are people that, well, don't know their history.
Yeah.
And so that's the only reason why they would holler that. And so that's why it rubs me the wrong way, because it's not a well thought out argument. And, you know, because if they did know their history, then you would be hollering about kung fu to people, because, well, black people were the first people to do that. You know, make classical music, make rock and roll, blues, you know, everything. And so if you knew that we created those things, then you would understand that people like what you cook up. It could be a new jug, a new dance, and a new word, a new slang. And it come off so clean that everybody wants to do it. It's a great form of flattery, if you ask me. So, you know, when I see a white woman with braids, it looks crazy. But at the same time, I'm flattered because she's emulating. And, you know, versus, oh, she need to take those out. She thinks she black. Well, you think you white with those weaves.
Thank you.
You think you white with that makeup you putting on.
Yes, if we're gonna apply, it's the same thing. So if we're gonna do it if you're gonna do it one way, then just fess up to it the other way.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the same thing.
So
and the wig too.
Yeah, so that's a double standard that doesn't need to exist. That's one of those things where it's like, nah, man, you can get rid of that. That's stupid. And so, yeah, that's the only people that get upset about, you know, Eminem growing up listening to rap, wanting to emulate it, and going out there and doing it. And you can tell Eminem really just likes to rap, like you said. He just likes rapping. And so I don't take that away from him, his love for the game, because that's one thing I know he does have. But to tie back into the earlier stuff, what I was saying about his early albums and Substance, I listen to those things. I used to listen to them all the time. Those are some dark albums, though.
They were, yeah.
Those are some dark albums. And I wasn't always in that place that he was trying to go. And that was why I was like, hey, look, man, you're putting this together pretty good, but I don't feel that way about life. And that's what I meant about it didn't resonate with me, I guess. So teach their own, but so people could argue Substance there, and I'll agree with that. But like you said, the later albums, and we can probably say this because we ain't really listened to them like that, but the things weren't hitting like that.
I mean, honestly, I can say that because I did.
Okay.
You know, because one thing about me, the way that I do music is once you've developed a certain amount of equity with me, I'll listen to everything that you put out and give it a shot because you've built up equity with me, you know? So like, and that's what, you know, like Wayne, for example, and I'm not going to go this now, I'm gonna let you continue. But like, for me, Wayne is like, Wayne built up tremendous equity with me with 500 Degrees, Carter 1 and Carter 2. So because of that, every time Wayne does something, even though I think he's fallen off tremendously, I'm going to give it a shot because of the equity. I thought Carter 3 was massively overrated. That's his most commercially successful album. That's the album that most people say is his best. I holler it's one of his worst. I don't like it. But my point is, I'm going to listen to what you do if you build up that equity. So with Eminem, because of Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers LP and Eminem Show, he built up such an amount of equity with me during that run that I kept listening to stuff that he was putting out henceforth, because it's like, you know, I heard him do great stuff before, so I'm going to continue to listen to see what you got going on. But everything since then has just been not that. And maybe you can attribute that to him no longer dealing with trauma or, you know, suicidal thoughts or all of that crazy stuff that he was thinking about on those other albums, and, you know, kicking his drug habits and all of that kind of stuff. So his quality of life seems to have improved, and I'm happy for that for him. But yeah, his music definitely ain't the same. That recovery and the relapses and all of these other albums that he's put out, murder music or whatever, music to murder to or whatever he called that thing, and Marshall Mathers LP2, these albums were all not good. And I can say that because I did listen to them.
Okay, good.
I didn't listen to him a lot. I didn't listen to him a lot, but because he built that equity when he dropped them, I listened, and yeah, not impressed.
That's an awfully hot coffee pot and whatever else he said. I'm like, hey, bro, listen, I don't hate on the man. He kind of grew on me over the years. Like I said, once I saw that he had a love for the game, I started to like draw back on some of my hate. But I still think he's overrated. But talented, but overrated. And but yeah, that's my take on him, man. But yeah, the whole industry is it's just geared towards making money, man. And so Eminem was a hell of a cash cow. He was dealing with a man. He talking about and then again, he calling them Uncle Toms and sellout. Benzino talk about selling drugs and killing people. So, but, bro, it's not like you're helping our community either.
I know. There's so many hypocrisies with that kind of stuff. It drives me. It really drives me crazy. Because otherwise, essentially, what you're saying, therefore, is that stuff is Black culture,
right?
Like what you're copying to at that point is, you know. And I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to okay, we're not going to make this a socioeconomic topic, right? So we're not going to get into that. But so I'm not trying to minimize the advent of the existence of these things in certain aspects of the Black community. But to go that far as to say that you're collaborating with someone who's not Black means that you're a sellout. Essentially, because and Eminem doesn't rap about that stuff. He raps about using drugs. He ain't rapping about selling dope and all of that kind of thing. So like what you're copying to essentially is the content of a lot of this music is what we are as people. So yeah, I think that you're right there. This stuff is rife with hypocrisies. It really is.
Yeah, man. And by the way, that's what Melly Mel was more or less talking about. He has a very unique way of looking at the rap game since he was the guy who coined the term hip hop. So he feels as though he has some level of say of what constitutes hip hop and what guys are and what guys aren't. And so his takes are a little bit brash, but I feel as though it's needed in today's social climate, at least to have a countering view to the narrative, because the narrative says Eminem top 5. And I don't see that. I don't see that. And anybody else that wants it. And by the way, bro, we were hearing this propaganda in like 9th, 10th grade. You know, with MTV and all that stuff, when they was having their countdowns and they was throwing him up there. I'm like, how y'all putting him up there? Well, how do you get up there so fast?
At least back then, it made more sense back then, because that's when he was putting out his best work. So even if you didn't agree with that, which I'm not saying I did either.
Right.
I'm not saying I agree with that either. But at least back then it made sense, because that's when he was putting out his best stuff. but for it to continue after he clearly fell off, to me, has never made sense.
Well, yeah, and so I look at the whole body of work. And so is he respected as an OG in the game? I would say so. But he's just not on my top 10. Sorry. So when it comes to technical rapping, we probably got an argument. Maybe not still. So I think Twista might have things to say about that. But be that as it may, Tony Yayo, he was all in the clear here. They playing a dirty game, and it's the music industry. So if these guys so happen to link up with a guy that brings them more money, more publicity, more spins, more whatever, hey man, you basically doing a dope game when you're playing the industry game. And whatever you can to get an advantage over your opponents, you can use that. And they did that. And it seems like they had a genuine friendship after all of that anyway. And by the way, Lloyd Banks still got bars. So if y'all got any time, go listen to anything he done came out with recently. I do that occasionally, and I'm never disappointed. Man still can rap. So check out Lloyd whenever y'all got a chance.
Man, these jits ain't finna go listen to no Lloyd Banks.
Man, listen to Lloyd Banks, man. And do your favor and listen to some old mixes, some old freestyle. The guy was crazy, highly underrated.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. You know how this music stuff is. Music is generational. Once they want to throw you out with the trash once you turn 30. It's like you don't even
young boy got the bars now.
Yeah, Moneybag Yo. Okay, well, yeah, shouts out to Yayo, man. I'm with Yayo on this one. I don't like all of that. I don't. You know how sensitive I am when it comes to that sellout stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it. You can't. We don't own this stuff. So selling out to who? Like, we don't own this crap. But whatever. I appreciate the content nevertheless. Eminem is what it is. He has a unique place in the pantheon of this music stuff. But I don't go for all of that sellout stuff for people just collaborating with the guy. I'm not with all of that, but whatever.
Yeah, hit me up, bro. We can do a track, bro. No sellout.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a good one. So we're going to talk about conservative commentator Tomi Lahren real quick. Tomi Lahren has some choice words for people who are criticizing the new Little Mermaid movie. So Tomi Lahren is a conservative national commentator. She makes appearances on Fox, and she has her own show on Outkick. Just go ahead and look her up on YouTube or whatever. She has her own show on Outkick. She's a frequent contributor on Fox News. And she is not shy about expressing her conservative / traditional points of view publicly. And she does not like the fact that the new Little Mermaid movie is getting from a critical standpoint, it's getting viewed as like, not as good because it's lacking in certain qualities or characteristics. So in particular, she felt a certain type of way about a New York Times review of the Little Mermaid movie, in which the reviewer said that the movie is lacking kink. So first we'll go ahead and just at the risk. Yeah. So this is an article from the Fox News website. It says Tomi Lahren puts New York Times on notice for lamenting Little Mermaid lack kink. So Outkick host Tomi Lahren condemned the New York Times for publishing a review of The Little Mermaid, claiming it was missing fun, risk, and kink. On Fox and Friends First Tuesday, Lahren called the review disgusting and warned companies not to mess with conservative parents. So this is an excerpt of what she had to say, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play the video of what she had to say. I think we will not get flagged for this. I hope we won't. But
fair use.
Fair. So yeah, I think that playing the clip will do this more justice than us talking about it or me reading the excerpt. So this is what Tomi Lahren had to say about a reviewer who said that the Little Mermaid lacked kink.
He has not turned it over, but I want to leave enough time for this because this is mind-boggling. The New York Times is facing criticism for its review of the new Little Mermaid movie. Okay, so Tommy, it says the movie reeks of obligation and noble intentions. Joy, fun, mystery, risk, flavor, kink, they're missing. The review concludes by saying realize why the rest of the movie plays so safe, because fun is some risky business. So they're wanting the Little Mermaid to be more kinky. Todd and I were talking earlier. Is there another definition for kink that we're missing?
I'm only aware of one, and it's about sexual preferences, and it's completely disgusting that they would associate this with a children's movie. But when these writers, these institutions, these publications tell you who they are, believe them. And again, this is just another notch on the belt with these leftist organizations sexualizing and exploiting children. And, you know, we're talking about the FBI, we're talking about the debt ceiling, we're talking about border security, all things that unfortunately Republicans and conservatives don't have a lot of intestinal fortitude, at least up until now, to follow through on. But the left has found one area. They have found the hill that conservatives and decent folks are willing to die on, and that is protecting children. And we will do it every single time. Ask Target, ask Bud Light, ask Kohl's. We will protect children. We will keep them from being exploited. We will do it every time. Do not mess with us. We are done playing with this.
You know, Tommy, you brought up Target. That's a good example. I mean, what about the drag shows and bringing your kids to these drag shows and the pushback that these companies and these organizations that they're seeing from parents? I mean, you would think, at least in a logical mind, you would think that they would stop trying to push this on kids, this over-sexualization of kids. But do you think we're going to see it stop anytime soon? Because we're talking about it every single day.
Yeah, when it impacts the bottom line, and it does for a continued period, like Bud Light is seeing, like I think Target is going to see, I think that they will change course. But see, this is the problem. For so long, these companies, these corporations have learned that conservatives don't really stand for anything. We get upset, we huff and we puff, and then we get over it. Until now. Now the tide is turning. It is changing. We are finally standing up, and we are sending a very clear message. So they might think that we're going to relent, we are going to forget, we're going to get over it. But like I said, the hill we will always die on is protecting children. So I guess they're going to have to find out, but we're going to hold strong, and I would encourage all Americans to do the same.
I agree. Tomi Lahren, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Unbelievable.
All right, so there you go. So yeah, the person who wrote that New York Times article said that the movie played it safe and lacked joy and some other things and lacked kink. So you know, obviously this movie is like something that people are paying attention to because they race bended the main character. Ariel was always, you know, portrayed as like a white character, and you know they have, you know, Halle Bailey here, who's a black actress, younger sister of Chloe Bailey, and she's the Little Mermaid. So you know Ariel's black and all that kind of stuff, and so a lot of people are talking about the movie for reasons that have nothing to do with the actual movie itself. It's, you know, SJW stuff. But yeah, so Tomi Lahren is, you know, not here for it. She's not here for that review, and not here for people who think that The Little Mermaid needed to exhibit a little more kink. So curious to know what you thought about Tomi Lahren's comments there.
Well, I never thought that I would agree with this woman, but I agree. I really don't know much about her. I just know I can't stand her face or her attitude. But she's right. She's got a point. And what they mean by putting kink in there? But you got to understand who runs the mainstream media. Well, when it comes to these agendas, and it's the liberal agenda. So these liberals who own most of these outlets, they push their narrative at all times. So when you think of these Hollywood studios, same thing. It's a very liberal minded thing. And what comes with liberal stuff comes with, well, anything goes. And so why not have kink in a kids movie? It's not like they don't do it in other movies. So why'd you spare it in this one? The reviewer is asking. They want a little kink in there for these children to watch. But yeah, man, it's just this whole thing that's going on right now with inclusion and social justice that they're putting in these movies. This is just the signs of the time, and peer pressure from media sources. I'm pretty sure it's going to reach these studios, and they're just going to go ahead and, well, have a little bit more kink in it next time. When they make the Beauty and the Beast reboot.
They already did that one.
Yeah. Well, they might have a new one, right? They might have a new one. All right. 50 Shades of Grey style. All right. You know what I'm saying? Make it a little spicy for the 7 and 8 year olds. So, but listen, man. And she brought up the whole Target thing. I don't know if you saw the stuff about Target, but that was wild. Where they were having some type of inclusion clothing line where, toddlers and, 1 and 2 year olds clothes for them, young kids, they was having extra small, an area for them to tuck themselves.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they had a whole line of it. And so people were having outrage of, what is this? The kid doesn't even know why he's tucking. Who's telling him to tuck? So it's like, well, how are we getting here? But this is the madness that they're spewing, and I'll let you go in a second. But this is propaganda at its finest. And Joseph Goebbels and Adolf Hitler would be proud of the amount of propaganda that has bombarded the American public, or anybody that's westernized for that matter, over the past 20 to 30 years. Because I'm telling you right now, these kids that are in elementary and middle school, it's a wrap. They're gonna be sitting around, when they're of age, it's gonna be a madhouse. And it's because there's no guidance, and like you said, it's social anarchy. So we are literally the old heads, screaming, hey, this ain't right, this ain't right. They think it's progressive and cool. And so they think that we're stuck in the Stone Age with racism and other forms of bigotry. And they think that they're a part of the cutting edge. No, you're a part of the cycle in life that happens generally right before that society's not a society anymore.
Yeah.
So what about you, bro? How do you feel about this whole scenario, man? I don't like it.
Yep. If you go back throughout history and you look at the fall of every great civilization, whether it's like the ancient Greeks, the Romans, the Macedonians, the one common thread is the downfall was immediately preceded by a height of decadence.
Right.
Just look at I am not making, this is not an opinion. Go look up. I know some of y'all don't care about history, but just go and look that up because those are facts. Yeah, we are the old heads. Yeah, and it all gets lumped in with everything else that's wrong with the world. And yeah, like I said, these individuals are perceived to be on the right side of history. Thus, they feel emboldened to continue to normalize this kind of ideology. I agree with Tomi Lahren. That should come as no surprise. And like when she was giving her thoughts during that segment, she used the word conservative. I tend to like veer away from using that word because the word conservative has political undertones, and I don't be caring really about this politics stuff. I prefer to use the word traditionalist, and I firmly, proudly am a traditionalist. And as a as a traditionalist, there is no place for this. Like not very long ago, they made the creators of Scooby Doo made Velma a lesbian.
Oh,
So I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but
well, she kind of was kind of gay. But.
she is. Well, she just wore glasses and had a mop cut. You know what I'm saying? So people suspected that she might be a lesbian because she had that kind of haircut and wore glasses. But otherwise, there was never any indication given to her sexual orientation. But that's because there was never an indication given to any character's sexual orientation on that show because it's a kid's show. All Scooby Doo was we in the mystery machine riding around solving mysteries. There were no elements of romance or sex or relationships or this, that, and the third in Scooby Doo. It's a kid's show. It's a child's cartoon. So if you think that Fred and Daphne are getting it on, that's because your dirty mind is always thinking about sex. Because that show, Scooby Doo and Friends, and all of the various iterations of Scooby Doo, and I watched them all as a kid, never had undertones of any kind of relationship, sex, or anything like that. They were just solving mysteries. You know, Fred, Velma, Scooby, Shaggy, and Daphne. They were just solving mysteries. And they pulled the little mask off. It's
Old Man Jenkins.
Yeah. It's Wild Bill. You know, like it didn't have any of that going on. So what was the need to make one of the characters a lesbian officially? Why was there a need to do that? It's a kid's show. So like, it's one thing if you want to introduce these themes in content that's geared towards maybe teenagers and young adults, which I don't even know if I like that. But if I'm willing to give it any kind of grace, I would say, okay, maybe if you're introducing these themes for shows that are geared towards teens and young adults, because that's when a lot of people, generally speaking, who are on the spectrum are starting to learn more about themselves, and you start to make these discoveries and all of that kind of thing. So maybe if you're doing that, perhaps then I might be willing to give it a pass. But shows that are geared towards like children, like adolescents, toddlers, which is what Scooby-Doo was at least, why introduce these elements? Like, what's the point of making Velma a lesbian? I didn't really understand that. So, you know, I kind of feel like this is par for the course with these things. The envelope is getting pushed to the point where we're starting to create this ecosystem in which it's inferred that doing this, you know, gender bending, you know, sexual preference bending, being on the spectrum like that is a reasonable expectation to maintain for toddlers and babies and young kids, instead of just letting the process develop on its own organically. And then if you want to help create content that helps young people reconcile with this kind of thing and learn what resources are available to them to gain a better understanding of who they are as young adults, then I can understand that. But stuff like Scooby-Doo, kid shows, to want Little Mermaid to have more kink, why? It's a movie that's for kids. It's rated PG. What do you need the kink for? What's the point of that? So people such as myself, who are more traditional leaning, are saying, at what point do we stop the pushing of this envelope? Because she's absolutely right. I'm going to use the word traditionalist. She said conservative, but I'm going to use the word traditionalist because I'm not trying to be political. But traditional-minded people are effectively bullied into silence because they don't own mainstream media. Once you veer away from Fox News, everything else is run by hyperliberalism. So you can say, I would love to have my baby, and I've said this a million times on this channel, and I'll say it again. You can say publicly, I would love to have a child and raise my baby to be transgender, and you'd be applauded for being courageous and on the right side of history. But if I get on, you know, the same news outlet and I say, I don't want my kid to identify that way, I'm going to rear them in a traditional way, I would get called intolerant for that. I'd be a bigot. The way Candace Cameron was called a bigot because she said, I'm going to make content on Hallmark Channel that features same-sex marriages and families. She's a bigot for doing that.
A heterosexual.
For me, yes. Yes, I'm going to make content that features heterosexual marriages and families. And I'm a bigot. Just like if I say that on CNN or MSNBC, any kind of podcast or whatever that's not Fox News, apparently.
Yeah, you're being a bigot right now.
Right, I am. I am a flaming intolerant bigot because I don't like the fact that a character on a show that is targeted towards small children turned one of the main characters into a lesbian. For what? Who is that for? A 5-year-old? Why does a 5-year-old need to know that Velma's a lesbian? Help me understand this. So, like, I get what she's saying, and I agree with her. I don't think she's wrong. I think that some of this stuff can be measured, and I find it unfortunate that people who have a traditional mindset, who aren't intolerant, but otherwise have a preference for having a family mold that's built out of something that's more traditional minded. There's nothing wrong with that. And if it just so happens that somebody in your family or one of your kids ends up on the spectrum, sexually speaking, then so be it. It is what it is. But these sorts of, you like to use the word agenda, but these sorts of targeted messages seem to reek of trying to suggest that this is something that you ought to be doing. And what other way do I have to look at that when you're putting these sorts of elements in programming that's geared toward kids who aren't even 10 years old? Like, make that make sense. Scooby-Doo is for 8-year-olds. Like, I was watching Scooby-Doo when I was like 9 or 10 on Cartoon Network. This ain't Toonami. This is an adult cartoon. This ain't Beavis and Butthead. This is kid stuff. Like, next thing you know, they're going to make Babs Bunny and Lola Bunny and Minnie Mouse gay. Stuff that's targeted towards stuff that's targeted.
I think they made Babs like plus size or something.
Yeah, why not? Go for it.
For body positivity. They said her body ain't realistic, but she's a rabbit.
This stuff is crazy, man. It really is. And look, if y'all can have your hyper liberal stuff. Go do what you do. Do your hyper liberal thing. You want me to take my kids to a slut walk? I'm not going to do it. But if you want to take your kids to slut walks and drag shows, have at it. Have at it. My central point with this entire conversation has always been, don't come at my neck just for saying I don't want to be a part of it. Why does one have to be right and the other wrong? These are all matters of preference when it comes to family values. Everyone is entitled to that. If I say I'm going to raise my son to be a heterosexual male and I'm going to raise my daughter to be a heterosexual female, that is not the same as saying I hate gay people. It's not. I know you want to think it's the same. It's not the same. So people just need to be able to relax and allow traditionalism to occupy its space with the rest of this hyperliberal craziness. Just let it be. Clearly, it ain't going nowhere. I'm not even trying to fight this crazy liberal stuff because I know it ain't going nowhere. I'm just saying let traditional minded people have their say too. That's it. And for this, for if you want Little Mermaid to have kink, then how about you petition to Disney that they create a whole new character that is, sexually, that make them make some character in Disney that's geared toward kids that features the main character that's a female that's a plus size, sexually promiscuous, transgender football player. Whatever. yeah.
And they got Asian parents.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Just let it run the gamut. Just let it run the gamut. For real, let it run the gamut. Because, this stuff is out of control. It really is. And yeah, I'm with people. And people are gonna get on her because they feel like she's some kind of way because she's on Fox News. And to me, she doesn't really rub me the wrong way. But that's because I'm a traditional person. So when she speaks on social issues, I feel an affinity for her words because I'm a traditional minded individual. And I think that there needs to be more people who aren't chicken shit to express traditional points of view without feeling bullied, without being bullied into submission or being concerned that they're going to end up getting canceled. So, you know, I don't, you know, this stuff makes me tremendously uncomfortable. I didn't like it when they made Velma gay. I don't think that I'm not getting this need to make Ariel kinky or more kinky. Whoever the hell this reviewer is, they can just crawl back into the whatever hole they came from, whatever hyperlocal hole they came from. It's a PG movie for children. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and even the movie itself, because I didn't watch it, but I saw a preview or whatever. But the inclusion part of it, I mean, they did enough. I thought they would have been happy, the liberal community, with the race swapping and all this other stuff. She's black. Her hair's long and wavy, but she got locks too. So it's just like, I don't know how that worked, but they doing it. So they making everybody happy. Because let's say if she was really black and she was down there with a fro, that would have been a problem, because part of Ariel's appeal was her long flowing hair while she was swimming in the water. So she have to have a weave or a lace front, whatever the hell she is wearing down there. Then, her dad's not even black. So, I mean, he's I don't know, Mexican or
yeah,
I don't know what's going on with that. So I'm like, oh, they're just playing the whole damn thing, So look, I'm not against. It's just so obvious and corny. And if I can point it out and go, oh, okay, this looks like an all-inclusive cast. All right, so okay, we got our black woman, we got our gay couple, we got our Asian. All right, we got our Hispanic.
We have our woman we have our woman who's the boss.
Oh, we got the woman in charge.
Yeah.
Then we have the white guy that's just cucking it up and not being a real guy. In love with the boss chick that ain't got time for him. Mm-hmm. So I just describe 80% of the stuff that comes out. And that's the part about it that's cringe and unwatchable for me. And I don't know how many people that do watch movies that grew up watching good movies and has now seen what movies have become. I don't know how people can continue to watch this stuff because it ain't hitting. But like I said, this one here, it hit all the strings. It's making everybody happy. I figured that the liberal community would have been appeased with this, but apparently they didn't push the envelope far enough.
No, it has to be more it has to be more free sex, no consequences.
And it's gotten to the point where it's bullying at this point.
Yes, I agree 100%. Yes.
Yeah, I'm feeling bullied by this stuff, and I don't like it. So it's getting harder and harder to watch commercials, even though I never like watching commercials. Who does? But I mean, it's on, so to hell with it. It's on. But even while there's background noise, I can hear the cringe in there. It's just too much going on for me. So, I keep it to a minimum. I suggest, you guys keep it to a minimum when these movies and stuff come out, because I'm telling you right now, the next movie is going to have some kink in it. You can bet that, So whatever one they didn't remix, that you said they did Beauty and the Beast. I don't know. What's that? Alice? Not Alice. Not did Alice. What's the other one with the Seven Dwarfs?
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah. So I don't think they did that.
Snow White.
My bad, y'all. Everybody looking at us like, come on, bro. Y'all don't remember Snow White?
I didn't watch all of those movies. Those movies freaked me out as a kid. Don't ask me about that. Those movies scared me. So I'm the wrong one to have.
Man, we used to watch those on whenever there was like free time in school and we had to watch movies. We used to watch them things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I saw them. I ain't never really watched them. Except Lion King, I'm off the point. But the point is, like, even if they make Snow White, you know, a reboot, you know, a dark version of it, you know, they can get real kinky with all them dwarfs. So you never know what's gonna come out, man, with Hollywood and Disney in general. And by the way, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it. If not, I strongly suggest you guys look up a compilation of subliminal messages in Disney films. All right, some of your favorites like Aladdin and Little Mermaid. All right,
absolutely.
And them sneaking little interesting sex toys in certain areas. What Aladdin told Jasmine? He told Jasmine to take off her clothes. And the sex in Lion King. There's so much stuff that Disney already. Yeah,
you're absolutely right, man. Sword in the Stone literally had. I don't want to use the word. It's a word that rhymes with the fruit grape. In the Sword in the Stone,
damn,
where when the kid got turned into a squirrel. So like there's a part in Sword in the Stone when the wizard turns the kid into a squirrel, and this female squirrel just loses it, and the female squirrel is chasing him. The boy's a squirrel, and look it up, bro. The Sword in the Stone, the female squirrel is chasing the boy all through the trees, just trying to take it from him.
Oh man. You talk about grape culture, and they're sitting there trying to teach us that as youth. So Disney has a long record of pushing the envelope and having kink in their movies. So I'm pretty sure that reviewer didn't look hard enough, because I'm pretty sure there was a floating dildo somewhere in that ocean. So look harder, Mr. Reviewer, because you did watch a Disney movie. So yeah, man, Hollywood, they can go to hell too. And all of these publications that's out here spreading this madness, they need to stop. I mean, I can go on and on about these clowns, but yeah, man, can't stand it. And I'll tell anybody that is watching the conscious approach, and most likely, since they are watching the conscious approach, they do watch television consciously. So I'm speaking to everybody else out there that may be on the fence with this stuff. And yeah, man, this stuff is out of our control, and they're continuing to push the envelope. They're going to do it every month, every week. I'm pretty sure we're already used to it. It's only going to get worse. And just like how JV Wins mentioned in the last topic, when we were just talking about the music distribution and who owns that and who controls that, whoever's running these studios or whoever's doing whatever, they have an interest in spewing madness to your children. And so it's very obvious and very apparent at this point. So yeah, take whatever with a grain of salt. And, you know, if you do have kids, you really have to monitor what they're watching, especially on this platform and anything else out there, the TikToks and Instas. I'm sure y'all know that, but just stay up on it, man. Because, you know, whenever they're sitting there watching their favorite, you know, Peppa Pig or whatever the hell, you know, some goofy stuff might pop up in there, and you never know, man. So be cautious, y'all.
Yeah, I think that's very good way to put it. It's, you know, it's too much. You know, you often talk about how, you know, when it comes to certain things, it's like, hey, man, they're gonna do it anyway. So you just find your piece of the pie and you stay out of the way. Right. Don't get frustrated about it because they're gonna do it anyway.
Right.
And that's how I feel about this. Like, I feel like they're gonna do it anyway. They're gonna want kids' movies to have kink. They're gonna want to sell your toddlers Spectrum clothes in department stores. Like, they're gonna want to do it. So my whole thing is, I've relented. They're gonna do it anyway. So just let traditional people have their say too. Like, get out of here with trying to book, because I find it as a form of bullying as well. That's personally, that's how I feel. It feels like we have made this a conversation about right and wrong. And so you've got to be on the gender bending and the race bending if you want to be right. And if you're traditional minded, it automatically denotes that you're on the wrong side of things. And I don't accept that premise. I refuse to accept that being traditional makes me inherently wrong. Just because I have a preference for socializing my children to be hetero. If you want to do that with your family, go do it. We still cool. good. Go, it's not like we can't be friends. My kids can play with your kids. I don't give a damn. But don't come at my rack just because I have a preference for doing things traditional. And I'm gonna socially condition my kids to identify with the sex in which they were born. I know that's a foreign concept to some of y'all, but a lot of people feel that way. And they shouldn't be demonized for those ideas. They shouldn't. It's messed up. So I'm with Tomi Lahren on that. I'm on her side all day, every day. And I don't get political with it, but it's getting to a point where I'm starting to feel like I'll just support people who at least care about this kind of stuff, because otherwise we're just descending into madness more and more. It's crazy. It's a PG movie that's geared towards children. Like my 6-year-old, 7-year-old niece, that's who Little Mermaid is for. What is the need for kink? Help me explain that. I don't get it. But yeah, it is. It's very strange, man. Strange world, for real. But that'll do it for tonight's comments, man. That'll do it for tonight's stream, rather. Good comments, good episode. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Conscious Approach is the website. Con Approach, CONAPPROACH, is the page on Instagram. I am JV Wins. I am on Instagram at JV Wins, JVWINS. You can also check out these videos on the Facebook page, Conscious Approach, if you happen to be looking there. Wherever you see this video, whether it's on YouTube, which is preferable, but if you're also on Facebook, go ahead and follow the page, hit the like button, leave a comment. But definitely subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. This is the main hub, and we certainly appreciate everybody who has joined us along for the ride as we continue to crank out this good content. Until the next time, I certainly appreciate you supporting us. We look forward to seeing you on the next video.
Yep. Name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon SS. Also on YouTube at Hurricane Dogon. Goddamn. All right. And as I say on every pod, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. All right. And don't let nobody get you off your pivot, including the liberal media. All right. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We'll see y'all. I'm tired. This stuff has made me exhausted.
Hey, man. It's always about the Heat, though, brother.
Yeah. Go Heat. NBA Finals. Heat in 7. I'm gonna go Heat in 7. Well, no, Heat in 6. Heat in 6. I don't want to play a game 7 in Denver.
Yeah.
So 6. Heat in 6. But yeah, go Heat, man. Miami about to be crazy. All of the rich people with money who don't know nothing about Miami or are not from here are going to come down here claiming Miami. That's the one annoying part about it, but it is what it is. I'll live with it if we can get another championship. So go Heat. Until the next stream, appreciate everybody for tuning in. We signing off. We'll see you later. Peace.
Go Canes too. Yeah, you ain't going to say that, boy. Go